Obviously, this is big news. Michael Allen's joining us, former special assistant to President George W. Bush and senior director for counter-proliferation strategy at the National Security Council. So as we get this news, we know this is the first public announcement of any concrete action taken to secure the release of Griner. We'll see what is involved here, this potential exchange that would happen. We don't know really the terms of the deal or whether it would be enough to actually secure the release. So what are your thoughts and questions at this moment?
My question, number one, is are we getting anything in addition to these two individuals coming out? Are we going to settle any other of the minor disputes that we have with Russia? I also am wondering about the wisdom of releasing Victor Bout. I know it's tremendously positive news for the families of Brittney Griner and Paul Whelan, but I worry about hostage taking being encouraged, because if you have a hostage swap, I'm afraid that encourages more hostage taking. Victor Bout's a bad man. He acquired missile systems and tried to sell them to African and Middle Eastern countries for the purpose, these particular weapons had the purpose and the design to shoot down aircraft. So this is a very bad man, and we had him in jail legitimately, whereas these two were imprisoned apparently illegitimately.
So you're trading a very bad man for a basketball player and a person who says that he was wrongly convicted of espionage would seem to be a very one-sided swap. But when you're dealing with Russia and you're trying to get your people out, sometimes you got to lay down a big card.
I think that's right. I think for the families, of course, this is wonderful news. It's good news for the country to have all Americans home. But yeah, it does raise questions about the hostage policy that the Biden administration is pursuing and what it means for Americans that are overseas in the future. Will they be kidnapped and become pawns in future international disputes?
Michael, obviously with the Brittney Griner situation, that brought a lot of national attention, but there was Paul Whelan still sitting there, and the family was saying, why not us? So do you think this actually helped to bring more attention to Paul Whelan and his family trying to secure his release?
Oh, definitely. I mean, Brittney Griner being a celebrity in the WNBA, I think she got a lot more attention than Paul Whelan had gotten. So I think if he is ultimately freed in this coming prisoner swap, he will have directly benefited, I think, from the fact that Brittney Griner is pulling this deal along.
Yeah, Paul Whelan was passed over in a recent prisoner swap that included American Trevor Reed, and he and his family always questioned why he was left out of this. The Biden administration, may have been doing things behind the scenes that we don't know about to try to get Whelan out. But again, as to Sandra's point, tying his freedom with that of a very famous person from the WNBA may be enough to push this over the top. But again, with you talking about Victor Bout is not the sort of guy that you want running around the world. But with relations at probably decadal lows, if not beyond that, between Russia and the United States, how do you try to get your folks out unless you agree to let somebody like him go back to Russia?
I think you're right. I mean, the relations are so poor with Russia. We're definitely down to just a transactional relationship, swaps where we can make progress, because we just have gigantic issues, as you well know, in Ukraine and elsewhere.
Yeah. All right. Well, interesting development. We'll see where this goes, see what the actual deal and the exchange involve, and we will stay on it. Thank you very much for joining us, Michael.
Thank you.
See if those conversations bear fruit later this week. Following the